and gentlemen, how are you doing today? I love you, and I got to start off by saying that tonight's Saturday Night Live will probably be the most asteroid Fight Club Saturday Night Live of all time. So cheers to the most Saturday Night Live asteroid Fight Club of all time. I love you guys. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining me. It's a beautiful day. We're about to have the most asteroid Fight Club Saturday Night Live tonight ever. And what's going to happen is today I'm going to celebrate. Because like I said, that no matter what happened, I was just looking forward to the election to be over. And so technically it seems like it's over. And so I'm going to make a cocktail with the gin that I bought. I don't know if it's going to be any good. We're going to start off with some Big Blue, right? It's kind of like Big Red in Texas. And then I'm going to pour in. And then, once we got our Big Blue in there, baby, then we're going to go with some Bombay, which is a fun word to say. Bombay gin. Man, has 2020 been the most drinkiest year ever? Cheers, y'all. All right. And now, I'm going to take a random stick out of my, what the heck, my desk. I'm going to start it. Crap, I should wash this glass. No! Now we going all apocalypse now. Shit. Sweet. Okay, great. Should have washed this glass better. And before this, I dropped off some groceries to my 92-year-old neighbor who's black. And I asked her if she was happy that we had our first female black vice president, and she said yes. So that was cool. Yeah, I don't know. Cheers, y'all. May we all, I say may we come together. I think it's going to take some time. Who knows what's going to happen next, but I'm just glad the election is over. Cheers. And, I know there are going to be recounts and court stuff, but that's got a weird flavor for sure. Cheers, y'all. And someone was saying the other day that, like, Al Gore was the elect president in 2000 for 37 days until the recount. And I was like, yeah, well, Al Gore only had to recount one fucking state, bro. Al Gore didn't have to recount 4 states. So, and also, look, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And hey, man, I get, 99.9% of the entire truth community on YouTube was like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have QAnon mass arrests. You're going to have a mini ice age. You're going to have a grand solar minimum. You're going to have a Donald Trump re-election. And no one ever questioned it. And 99% of people on YouTube, that's just what they thought. And that was not me. And so I'm happy I voted for Biden. I thought Trump was a bully and a liar. And his shit about the coronavirus will disappear after the election was just fucking horseshit garbage. Now people are saying that having the giant celebrations during a pandemic is bad. And technically, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I would say as much as you want to celebrate, I wouldn't go out in big giant city groups because the end of November is going to be fucking ugly. we're going to have like 2,000 deaths a day. But, you know, people are people and they're going to do whatever they want to do. And like I said, take calculated risks. Oh, and special shout out to Summer. And she sent me this necklace. She said it's a necklace of protection. And so I believe her. So I shall now adorn it with my Justice League shirt. And you know what the weirdest moment of the day was when I woke up, because I stayed up till like 8 in the morning, was when Mike Cernovich went live and he totally flipped shit, bro. Mike Cernovich was like, you know who I blame? I blame all you dumb QAnon motherfuckers. Because you guys just took the dumbest horse shit and ran with it no matter what it was. You were telling everybody, trust the plan. You were telling everybody mass arrests were coming. You were telling everybody Durham report. And that you guys got it wrong again and again and again and again. And so that was Mike Cernovich, like one of the top, you know, conservative guys saying that, you know, that the QAnon movement actually hijacked the conservative movement and helped. And Mike Cernovich said, look, I told you that coronavirus was going to continue to be a problem. Nobody believed that. And so, man, what? Why is it waking up to see Mike Cernovich calling all the QAnon, blaming the QAnon people I thought that was pretty funny, you know? Because like I said, that and just like me, I told y'all that the Kavanaugh trial was bullshit. I told y'all that the impeachment was bullshit and he wasn't going to get kicked out of office. But then I told y'all that the coronavirus is real. And I've told y'all that the entire fucking time. And it's not going away and it's going to be a big problem. And that, look, man, we still have major problems for the rest of 2020. We still have major, major problems for the rest of 2021. We probably now, since we have chosen the worst case scenario every single time, we probably have major problems through 2022. But as a guy who's been on the other end of that grand solar minimum, mini ice age, QAnon, who's just been getting like shit kicked out of me for 4 fucking years on YouTube and home, you know, is the reason I didn't go pick my car up from my mom before election day, just because I didn't, you know, that like, man, it has been rough being like the only guy in the truth community who didn't agree with all the bullshit that is slowly, none of it is coming true. And so, yeah, I'm celebrating today. And that non-political Thor will come back probably in about 5 days. But for now, we were all allowed to have our own opinion. And that watching the truth community go in lockstep with our president was not something that I was into at all, ever. And so, I'm happy today, dude. Like I said, if you're just joining us, we are about to have the most Asteroid Fight Club Saturday Night Live of all time. Dave Chappelle and the Foo Fighters. And I don't know if you guys know this, but like a year and a half ago, a friend of mine invited me out to a little bar here in Texas. I don't know, I guess there were maybe 30, 40 people there. Or 2 of the bands performed. And you know who was there? Dave Grohl, the drummer, lead singer of the Foo Fighters. He was there with his wife and his baby. And I got to stand next to him. I didn't talk to him, you know. But he sat one picnic table over for me the whole night. And so that was cool, man. I mean, Dave Grohl is like one of my favorite people ever. And I feel like in a post-Kurt Cobain world where we saw Kurt Cobain, in my opinion, get murdered, and then they just totally went at war with rock and roll and tried to wipe rock and roll out. You know, me and Dave Grohl have kind of, we remember and we understand the big battle that has been happening. And so I can't express how much I love Dave Grohl. I cannot express properly how much I love Dave Chappelle. Both are absolute all Asteroid Fight Club all-star members. And here's another cool thing. My buddy Fitzroy took me to a club here in Houston. I may have told the story, but I'll tell it again. And that it's a tiny little club, but it's a really cool club. And I got to sing on stage 2020, 24 hours to go. I want to be sedated. I got to sing with a full punk band that was really great. Although I didn't do well, I went way off page, which I always do. But then that was the first time I'd ever sung on that stage, and like tons of amazing musicians and singers have stood on that stage. So it was a very big moment. A week later, Dave Chappelle came to town and did a little stand-up set standing on that exact stage. Like a week later. And then I got to see Sponge, thanks to George. And they performed 24 hours to go. So I don't know, man. Like I'm happy. I had predicted that things would be sucky, and that in September I would start to see the little chinks in the armor of the giant bully system, and that in the middle of November things would get better, and that December would be better, and then we would slowly start to improve as, you know, like I said, I'd hoped we could get it in gear by 2022. I don't know. Now it may not be till 2023. But like I said, I'm pretty dang. I'm happy, man. And I still stick to the whole thing about I don't believe in politics. I don't think worshiping politicians is good. But I do think Trump was one of the most arrogant, self-centered, mean presidents we've ever had. I'm glad he's gone. And so if you want to leave, that's fine. Like I said, my political period will be over in about 5 days. But I'm not going to hide the fact that we all had to choose which one we were going to support, and I made my choice, and I knew that I would quote unquote pay for it, and I have. And so yeah, it's not quite the end times, dude. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not the end of the world. The rapture ain't coming tomorrow. The rapture ain't coming probably while I'm here. And that I am a Christian. And if we had to judge our Christianity, which we're not supposed to do, that like I'm pretty good, dude. Like I love all you people. It's like I asked my 92-year-old neighbor, I said, "Do you love me?" She goes, "I love everyone." She's big on Jesus as well. And so, I don't know, hopefully we will get to the point where we will stop demonizing each other. Oh, another thing I will say, that the people who are trying to tell me that like Biden stole the election, dude, it is a hard sell telling people that the guy who had 4.2 million more votes than the other guy stole the election. In your world, that may be something you want to buy into. You may want to be like, no, man, he fucking stole it. And I will tell you this. Now, this is a total metaphor. You can take it how you want to. But in my mind, look, it's Tammany Hall. Politics is corrupt. Like, it is. So this is a metaphor, but I'm looking at it. It was almost like the two thieves seeing how they could out thieve each other. And so that's how I look at it. And if you were looking to politics for purity, I think you better reassess, man. And no matter what, I'm definitely tired of all the doom and all the gloom and all the we're going to fail. And that, no, you know, like, if you were here the night that, cheers. Thank you, Moni Moni. Thank you. And if you were here the night that, like, that I thought Trump was going to win, I did a live cast for 5 hours, and I talked about how technically, for me, it was going to be easier if Trump won, because it was just like an anything goes, herd immunity situation. That the least favorite part of my job has been telling everybody to wear a mask. That makes me sound like some whiny grandma going, wear your mask, socially distance. And so technically, you know, if Trump would have won, my job would have been easier, because then I would just, you know. But so for today, I'm just going to enjoy this. But yeah, I did a whole like 5-hour broadcast where I thought Trump had won. And, you know, the whole thing about, like, for 4 years, everybody was focused on politics. And, bro, like, after a few days, I don't want to talk about politics again for 4 more years. I can't stand politics, and there's no one I trust less than politicians. And, bro, if you hold an office as a politician, you are a politician. So the idea that someone could stand up there in a political office and tell people he's not a politician, that is the craziest shit I ever heard. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. And that we're all Americans. We all have a rough road to hoe, and that Wall Street is going to do everything it can to give us bad information and then profit off of misinformation. And Wall Street is not red. Wall Street is not blue. Wall Street is green. And that Wall Street has been inching towards Soylent Green in very bizarre ways since 2014. I love you. I love y'all. Technically, the gin and Sprite tastes better. You guys are great. And I'm super excited about Saturday Night Live. Like, and what is so cool is Dave Chappelle was the host 4 years ago when Trump won. And he got up there and he said, look, I'm going to give him a chance. And I want everybody in America to give him a chance. And I thought that was one of the coolest Asteroid Fight Club things. And I said the same thing. And so now to have Dave Chappelle with the Foo Fighters tonight, that's karma. And I'm letting it all out. I'm getting it all out of my system. But the thing that I disliked the most was, like, no matter what. And hey, man, like I said, you can Trump 2020 for the rest of your life, bro. Trump can throw rallies every day. You guys are free to have a Trump rally every day. One of my best friends in the entire universe, a super miss, is named Bo. Okay? They modeled Aquaman after one of my best friends. They put Jason Momoa in a role and then modeled him after one of my best friends, Bo. One of the coolest bros ever. His dad rest his soul, his dad was cool. His dad his dad was an oil man. And his dad had one big huge room that was a shrine to Elvis Presley. He had a super jukebox in there. He had it was a big huge room that was probably as big as my efficiency. And the whole thing was a shrine to Elvis. We're talking about a guy that was probably born in the 40s, maybe 30s. And Elvis was his hero. And so, bro, if you want to be like Bo's dad and you want to square out an entire room to build a shrine to Trump, go for it. And if you still want to think he's the greatest president ever, that's everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. It has been so difficult to stay in the middle. And remember, I didn't get political until 3-4 months ago. When the coronavirus. Well, technically I got political in March. When I thought Trump was throwing the whole coronavirus dick in the dirt. And let me tell you guys this, Trumpers. All Trump had to do was in March wear a mask and tell everyone to wear a mask. Hold on. Matt. Hey, sweetie. I love you. You're gorgeous. Would you like to come say hi to my live stream? No. Okay, I love you. Okay. My 92-year-old neighbor just dropped off a plate of food for me. Because I brought her 2 cans of beans, 4 boxes of basic cornbread, and then a big box of the Red Lobster cheddar biscuits and some cookies. And, so she's 92, she just walked up a flight of stairs to hand me a plate of food. And if you remember, one of the themes of Thor News is that over the next 5 years, it would be great if everyone would master their own personal plate of food where we all have a personal responsibility to feed each other over the next 2 years. And so this is a good sign. And that's how it works. If I be cool to you, you be cool to me, and we be cool to each other. I'm going to put this in the fridge. Oh, no. You guys, hey, do me a favor, bro. Enjoy the ceiling fan. All right. Okay, great. And I definitely look like shit, but hey, the last 4 or 5 years has just been an absolute knockdown, drag-out battle. Oh. Like, for example, my 8-year anniversary comes up on the 23rd. From the 215 stretch to this year, well, definitely 2016, 2017, 2018, I had real estate billionaires very, very, very upset that I was telling people that California is probably not the best place to live right now. That we're going to see volcanic and fire activity out the wazoo, especially in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. And so it is a wonder and a mystery that I'm still alive. And that if you've been quote unquote shorting California real estate over the last 3 years, you've done well. If you look at the real estate returns, Texas compared to California, or even New York. I mean, I gave out super, super solid advice. put my life in danger to give you guys the truth. And I do know a lot of people who have moved from California to Texas, including fucking Elon and Joe Rogan. Hey, it's a day of forgiveness. I think we should all forgive each other, give everybody a second chance. How do you feel about that? Let me tell you a rule. If you are 18 or up, although technically I'd prefer it if you're 21 and up watching my channel. Let me tell you a rule. No matter what, always try to get along with your neighbors. Even if they're not always cool, do your best to be cool. Because there is no dumber feud than having a feud with your neighbor. Like living next to someone and then not liking each other is one of the most destructive things for everything around you. And so I think I learned that in my early 20s, that just you and everything around you will be happier if you do what you can to get along with your neighbors. Some neighbors you're going to like more than others. Technically, I've been super lucky for a long time. And that if you have a neighbor that isn't always cool, your patience will get tested. But man, I don't know. That's just one of the best pieces of advice I could give is do everything you can to get along with your neighbor. And it's weird, like Rose, like a lot of people I know are like, Jesus is coming soon. I'm like, hey, I'm 100,000% cool with that. But everybody's been telling me that since I was like 5 years old. And in my opinion, he's with us every day. No matter what, the King of Kings is always all around like a giant spirit in Star Wars, except instead of one dude, he's one dude standing next to you, and he's also all the air, the birds, the sky, the Christ spirit. It's everywhere. So Christ is already here. Jesus. That like, I wouldn't be here with you talking to you if he hadn't been such an amazing man, Godson. But like I said, all the doom and gloom that like somehow like I can't base my plans on Jesus Christ showing up physically on a white horse with wings and entire angels splitting the sky straight open and then flying down and them like conquering everything. Like I can't, where I'm like, step one, we're going to pay rent. We're going to hang out with our friends. We're going to make sure everything is okay and stabilized today. Step two, we're going to get ready. And then step three, Jesus Christ shows up and then everything is just totally changed. That like, it's not something I'm penciling in to happen in my lifetime, but if it does, excellent. Like, if the universe was like God and Jesus Christ are ready to see you now, I'd be like, wonderful, sweet. You know, like, I think meeting God and or Jesus would be super. That's like a dream come true. And it's one of the reasons that I don't really fear death is that then at some point, somehow, I think you get to meet God. So I love God and I believe God intends me to be here and be here now. So I will enjoy being here as much as possible. And then when I'm in heaven, I will enjoy being there as well. And that I will understand we are both in now and forever here. But I always think about this. They have two parties. to encapsulate everyone's belief in the United States of America. Christianity has 33,000 different sects of Christianity. And so if you think you guys argued and had issues with each other, Republican and Democrat, man, I'm telling you, being a Christian and standing firm in your own beliefs is also a fight, except it's not a fight versus one other gang. It's a fight versus thousands of other gangs, and the strongest gang has been the Catholic Church, the first corporation. And you know what's weird is they freaked out when JFK won the presidency, because I think he was the first Irish Catholic to be president, if I understand correctly. And so that was the whole conspiracy theory then, was that the Pope was going to be running America. Just like now, they said Biden. And that's, dude, you guys come up with some crazy, stupid fucking conspiracy theories, in my opinion. They're like, Russia always represents Russia. China always represents China. And that all of these dudes, at the heart of Trump, he believed he was doing what was best for America. At the heart of Obama, at the heart of Biden, even Bush, even fucking Clinton. To me, to get that far and become president, you've always carried a flag for America in one way or another. And then just like I told y'all, and I warned y'all, I said it in 2014. In 2014, I was trying to explain to y'all what 2017 would look like and what 2020 would look like. And in 2014, we hadn't made it past preventing World War III yet. So I didn't know if Asteroid Fight Club was going to be good enough to prevent World War III. And I think Asteroid Fight Club is much, much bigger than you understand. There are Russians in Asteroid Fight Club. There are Chinese in Asteroid Fight Club. I think there are Israelis and Palestinians and then at one point, like, the whole mission was avoid World War III in 2015, which we did. Congratulations. And then it's kind of like a video game, for lack of a better metaphor, where every year was like a whole new challenge. And that, for me personally, I'm 48 years old. And I know that means I'm too old to be sexy. I know that means I'm too old that I don't ever get to have sex again. I know that means that, like, I've been put out to pasture. But what I'm saying is now that, like, in my entire lifetime, for 48 years, the baby boomers have ruled with an iron fucking fist. And so, like, the baby boomers are like the parents to everybody else. And so, why don't we have rock and roll? Because the baby boomers like, dude, that call, like, and I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying that we've kind of been in the same system for 50 years, if not more. And so that in the way I see it, the universe is a 3-act structure. Trump was the president that was there for that period of time. It's very IPAC GOAT 2, where we are watching the structure of the last 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, that, like, we're watching all the old shit totally fucking collapse before our eyes. The old belief systems, the old Like I said, even the old fucking religions. I know that freaks people out, but I've been trying to remember and remind y'all that, like, in the year 0, Jesus was crucified, or however you want to define it. In the year 1500, you had the Aztecs and the Mayans that were sacrificing thousands of people every year to get the sun and the rain to work and the eclipses. And at the same time, you had the Catholic Church killing 300,000 people, declaring that they were all witches, and they all happened to be enemies of the political system and the religious state at the same time. And so from year 0 to year 1500 to the World War system of World War I, World War II, World War III, which we've been in silently, passive-aggressively for a while, that, like, we are still growing and understanding and learning as a people. Does that make sense? And that's me. Jesus has always been a super cool dude, and the main laws are love God above all others, and God is the universe. God is the one who gives us the sky, the earth, the wind, the water, the light, the darkness. Then love your neighbors, your family. Those are the 2 laws, man. And I believe Jesus is cool. And that Jesus was the first rock star, and that rock and roll is good. And that the masculine spirit that sings to protect all people it's a good thing, and that Jesus is cool, and so that we all need to be cooler in our belief system of how we treat ourselves and then how we treat the people around us. And then I recognize in a very industrial age system, business has been allowed to operate in at least non-capstone level, do what thou wilt. Oh yeah, and that's another thing, is I think, yes, secret societies have been in play for at least 100 years, if not more. But if you look back on the 1900 to 2020, that it seems clear to me that the secret societies, no matter what the fucking YouTube tells you, have had a foundation of fellowship, family, and brotherhood, and sisterhood. But in the digital age, there weren't going to be any secrets anymore. And if you are a Thor News, long time, we have been in an oil and war economy. So if you are using terms like Biden or Trump, you're still not fully grasping the whole Thor News aspect of, for the last 120 years, World War I, World War II, World War III, oil and war have been the leaders and dominators of the narrative. And that the digital age disrupted the apple cart, and that at some point as a species, if we are going to grow, we have to evolve past our oil and war being the foundation and the engine of our entire global 7 billion people economic system. And who was the first person that Trump appointed in his office? It was Rex Tillerson, a guy who'd worked and been the CEO for Shell for 36 fucking years. Or was it Exxon? Is there a difference? So the Secretary of State, his first Secretary of State was the CEO of fucking Exxon Shell, bro. And that I don't have hate. Like, look, what I would like, it would be cool if Trump could be acquitted and pardoned in this moment of forgiveness for everyone, and that spending the next 4 years trying to prosecute him, I think would contain and push a lot of negative energy out. Thank you very, very much, Paul. But this has been the basis of me, man. I've been on a forgiveness and jubilee bandwagon for a long time. That, like, hating and fighting and judging, and it's not going to get us to the place we need to go. And I'm super excited that the Civil War hopefully is going to be over. Mike, I'm going to lose the politics in 1 fucking week, man. And I don't think I've been wrong about a lot of stuff the whole time that I have been here. As I have discussed before, like, when I hear everyone out there talk about the oil industry, that, like, I ask myself, like, how many of y'all have had conversations in person with people in the oil industry, whether they work in the field or they're billionaires who have had their company in Midland for 45 fucking years? And that I have been having these, like, oil conversations with the oil industry for 20 or 30 years. And so I'm just, right now, using politics, I'm just trying to get y'all to understand that, just like I feel I have been a vehicle and a vessel that has definitely helped move civilization forward, that good or bad, everyone else along has been part of that same fucking vessel. And we are all moving to the future together, kicking and screaming. In my discussions from 2014 to 2019, I can't remember how many times I heard, "We do not like change." And if you go back through my 8 years of video before the plague hit, dude, I was like, change is coming. Whether you like it or not, or believe in it, change is coming. Why do you think I started Asteroid Fight Club? And on a day where they've announced the President of the United States, the idea that I have to lose politics, like I said, let me have this day. And there are definitely other channels out there. You can even walk away from everything. And I'm just saying that, and if you were following the entire 3-act narrative here, I went to go buy some type of blue liquid for my drink. And when I'd gone grocery shopping before, I bought my 92-year-old neighbor groceries. And then she came and brought me a plate of food. I mean, we have the first vice presidential woman ever. That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. And she's a good dancer. Oh man, I found a pair of Timberlands that were $48.99 at Ross Dress for Less that were brown. And I only have 2 pairs of shoes. I have 3, but one hurts my feet. Someone sent me, I don't wear them. I have these black boots, which I put like 10,000 miles on. And then I have these shoes that I've taken off my feet right now. I have 2 pairs of black shoes, man. And hey, congratulations, Billie Eilish, on signing a deal with Gucci. Anywho, I'm just saying that, like, I always need one cool black boot and then one tennis shoe. And look at that, man. And when I still go for walks, like, and so I was like, look, I'm gonna add a brown to my foot. Because I used to be big, when I was in perfect shape, I was big into looking great all the time, wearing great clothes, great shoes, great, all that shit. And so I used to wear Jordans. I loved Jordans. I used to wear Doc Martens all the time. Anywho, what I'm trying to say is I used to have a large collection of shoe colors to choose from. But in the whole Planetary Defense Commander fashion of it, I have somehow been reduced in Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, Capricorn. I've been reduced to fucking 2 pairs of shoes that I wear. And so the other day, when I walked to Ross Dress for Less, I saw a brown Timberland for $48. I was like, I may, if things go well in my fundraiser, I may add a brown to my shoe collection. But the fundraiser did not go well, so I'm probably not going to buy those brown Timberlands. But Kamala wears Timberlands well, man. You know what's weird is, like, I think Kamala is cute and AOC is cute. Although I don't know if they're married or with somebody. But that no matter who you are, if we sit down and drink or hang out, we're going to disagree on some stuff, man. There's definitely going to be things we disagree on. And back in the day when I used to get to kiss women, sometimes having a conversation where you disagree with her about stuff, that can be very sexy and count as foreplay. Because, like, at the end of the heated, passionate conversation, when you're both like, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. And then all the, like, passion energy you've built up, you could just make out with it. But I'm talking about, like, 1990 to 2014, 2012. I'm still stuck in the past. Michelle and Kamala are both dudes. Look, man, you're the same guy that's been telling me that QAnon is going to arrest 400 people. You're the same guy that has been guaranteeing me that Trump is going to win re-election without a problem. You're the same guy who would tell me that Taylor Swift is a man. And that's what I'm saying, that, like, I could be face down in that shit. Like, have you ever found a clitoris in your life? Have you ever found the man in the boat? And every vagina is different. And every clitoris hunt is always a fucking, like, the greatest Easter egg hunt of your life. And so that, like, 2016 to 2020 dumbass QAnon bullshit, Oppenheimer rants, suspicious observers, like, fucking just come up with the dumbest shit you can to demonize the person who disagrees with you. You can ride that pony into the fucking dirt. But I will show you that whatever they are, Barack Obama and his wife are madly in love with each other. Trump's wife, Melania, wouldn't even hold his hand in 2020. that if you think Trump was faithful to his wife, you, in my opinion, are a fucking fool. And you may get off accusing black women of having dicks. Like, that may be the thing that you're whacking it to. And I can't stop you. But that was what I'm saying, is that's why I am very happy today, is that just like the National Enquirer shows up to be like, they're both dudes. Well, how did that work out for you? How did 4 years of that shit, how did that work out for you? I mean, that's the fucking joke. It's like, everybody's like, how soon will Melania divorce Trump? And I'm guessing pretty much like 3 days after he's left the fucking White House, she is gone. God, yeah, that Michelle and Barack Obama seem to be madly in love and seem to really, really like each other. And Melania has hated the fucking president for a year. I mean, the guy literally had to pay $100,000 to a porn star while she was in office. And that may be how you treat your wife. You may be like, hey man, I'm a Trump supporter, so I can pay a porn star while I'm married to you and have you fucking attached to me. I can be totally unfaithful to you, and Jesus allows it because I believe in Trump. I remind you again, I have never been divorced. I've taken being faithful super duper 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 seriously. And that technically, I think being faithful to one person is the sexiest thing on the planet. Faithful and true. And so, but seriously, shout out to all the people who had the worst conspiracy theories. This is what Mike Cernovich was talking about today, that like the people with the fucking craziest theories are the ones who hijacked the entire movement. And then Trump started to believe them, that like they were true. And so it was like a reinforcing double cycle. And that is such negative energy. Like I always talk about, dude, there's nothing more boring to me than consensual adults having sex with each other. Like, that is not my business. That as long as you are not being evil and you have found someone who wants you, whether it be man, man, woman, woman, man, woman, that's none of my business. And so if you want to spend your time thinking about your people whose politics you don't agree with and their genitalia, like I said, I would rather think about Taylor Swift's genitalia or Selena Gomez's genitalia or Ariana Grande's genitalia. Like, I would rather think about the genitalia of the actual women that I have or would make out with and possibly stick my face in. You know what I'm saying? And so the idea that for 4 years I've listened to, or even 12 years, like I've listened to people talk about Michelle Obama be a man for 12 years, that like I can't even, why have you spent so much energy on that? Of all the things in the universe you can think about, you somehow find a way to be thinking about dicks, bro. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying, I have imagined a zillion times what it would feel like for Selena Gomez and Ariana Grande to sit in my lap. Because I'm like 6'1", and right now I'm like 288 pounds. I was like 222 when I started my YouTube channel, by the way. And so I have filled my mind with images of Billy, Ariana, Selena, Taylor, Amelia, Emma, like Jessica. There, and just always to hear people talk about how some people are that we think are women are dudes. Like I can't, like I said, I can't even. The Taylor, that's what's the funniest shit to me. Like all the people that were always trying to tell me Taylor's really a dude. I'm like, bro, have you ever even seen a fucking vagina? Have you ever licked a vagina? Have you ever fucking gotten a vagina to squirt? Because to me, a vagina is like the most Jedi puzzle out there. That sometimes you can just be the master of that thing, and sometimes you can be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Fuck, nothing I'm doing is correct. And it is one of the biggest challenges of being a man. Like, giving a man an orgasm seems to be 1,000 times easier than giving a woman an orgasm, although it is possible. And that if you can give a woman a great orgasm, usually the week after that is pretty good. And she's really good to you. And it's like fucking, it's been 4 years since Michelle Obama was in office. So we're 4 years past that and you're still talking to me about Michelle Obama's dick. That's just weird to me. But I think it will fade. And like Mark Cernovich said, that was the same shit that it helped Trump win election in 2016. But all that shit backfired. And just remember this, that to win, all he had to do in March was wear a mask and tell everybody to wear a mask. And that at this point, I know multiple people whose relatives are in the hospital with the coronavirus. So on this day, yeah, I'm fucking sick of every fucking idiot out there who's had their head so far up their ass who thinks that the coronavirus isn't even real. Like, that must be a fun world for you to live in, but it is clear to me that I don't want it. I don't want my mama to get it. I don't want any of the people I love to get it. I don't even want you to get it. And I don't know how the fuck we're going to deal with it. And Wall Street is definitely not being a major help in this whole fucking arena. And it is not going away after the election. As a matter of fact, we are at like 122,000 fucking cases in the USA yesterday with 1,200 dead people in a single fucking day. And that people forget. It's like revisionist history. Everybody basically swore that no matter what, Hillary was going to fucking jail. That didn't happen. Hillary and 400 people were going to jail during his first 4 years. That didn't happen. So now the same people who guaranteed you Hillary's going to jail have been telling you that the coronavirus is a hoax, and I have seen no evidence that it is. Like I said, I know multiple people who have parents or relatives in the hospital with it. And that it is still going to be a giant battle. And I will sit here and drink beer and smoke with you because we are going to see more people die this November. We are going back to March levels, April levels of deaths. That, look, the giant parades for yay, even though 85% of people were wearing masks, that is going to lead to a lot more infections. That this is going to be a quote unquote suffocated bloodbath of a fucking Thanksgiving. A lot of people are going to die to close out 2020. And so on the task all year of trying to get everyone to that wearing a mask is not going to hurt you. Being smart is not going to hurt you. Picking and choosing your moments and where you go is wise. And that you're not going to see me at a protest. You're not going to see me at a political good job rally. But on Halloween, in November 1st, I went to a party with about 21 people. I had a fucking spectacular time. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Obi-Wan Jr. Thank you, Fitzroy. Thank you, everyone that was there. And it definitely had a super NASA vibe. So when everybody was there, like, we don't have it. I didn't believe them, but I got the feeling I was a little safer than with a normal crowd. And we're on day 7 where I'm checking for symptoms and I don't seem to have any. And I hadn't really left my apartment in like a month or months. So I knew that I wasn't bringing the virus to the party, but there was a chance that I would get it. And that even now, I'm pretty sure there are parts of my belief systems or even things that I've told you that are incorrect. And so more people need to make space for the fact that they were probably wrong about stuff they believed in up until now. And that if you see the world through a political lens overall, you're going to end up with a lot of bad conclusions. And that Trump was an instrument that got us to here, and it showed us a lot of that which we need to work on and fix. And that while he was president, or is president, civilization has not collapsed. And Space Force was created. And so when I talk about Space Force, I usually get a bunch of fucking people on the left yelling at me or making fun of me, talking about how Space Force is a fucking joke. And I'm like, well, you don't seem to understand things well in that arena. Because Space Force is the official 6th military branch of the United States of America. And that regardless of this election, who has won or who becomes president, Space Force will be there. After President 46 to President 47, Space Force will be there. They're like the Army. They're like the Navy. They're like the Marines. They're like the rest of the military branches. That they will continue on as long as we do. And that right now there are 77 publicly accounted for spaceships in Space Force. And that I started Asteroid Fight Club somewhere around 2014, 2015. And so 5 years later, Space Force came into account. And I have talked to people who have been on the space shuttle. I have talked to Air Force pilots, Marine pilots, Army pilots over the last, Space Force is a good thing, and I appreciate the president, and I thank Trump for creating Space Force. And my birthday is on the 19th. And Space Force was created of December. Space Force was created on the 20th of December, last year, the day after my birthday. And that tonight's Dave Chappelle and Foo Fighters, that nobody has to know, nobody may ever know, but I definitely, absolutely helped with the creation and bringing about of Space Force, man. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you're not worried about making money or taking credit. And I want the space shuttle and rock and roll to return. I've made no fucking secret about that at all, ever, since I've been here. And in fact, me and Fitzroy wrote a song about the space shuttle. And it goes something like, give me my space shuttle. I want my space shuttle. It's a space shuttle. We need a motherfucking space shuttle. And that as a screenwriter most of my life, redemption is a super powerful tool. And that the fact that Donald J. Trump looked to you all in the face and told you all that the coronavirus would disappear after the election is totally false and one of the worst mistakes any president has ever made in his life, in my opinion. And so he can redeem himself. He can do a 180 and he can say, look, no matter what happens, I'm here. He's a powerful man with a lot of fucking followers. If he can get them to admit that it's real and wear masks, that would be a tremendous fucking help. That, like, he still shall be one of the most famous celebrity figures in our lifetime till he passes away. And so he can start a Trump news network and create demonizing things about Kamala and Biden and push stupid fucking Q theories forever. Or he can have his own personal redemption and just say, hey, I'm here for America, and that no matter what, the next 2 to 4 years are going to be fucking tough due to this goddamn pandemic that is killing millions. Thanos, Loki, and Ultron. He can have a Scrooged come to Jesus redemption moment. Like I said, look, man, if you want to recount Georgia, great. Out of every recount that's ever happened, the average change in votes is 400. Of every recount that's ever fucking happened, the average is 400. The change of the recount is 400. Let me tell you that again if you have a hard time with facts. Of every recount that has ever happened in the history, the average amount of change is 400. And so if you recount Georgia, you recount Arizona, you recount Pennsylvania, you recount, forget what the fourth swing state is that we hinge upon, Michigan, that the average change has been 400. And so I'm pretty sure if you recount all 4 states, because the recount in 2000 was only one state. They only had to recount Florida, where coincidentally, George W. Bush's brother, Jeb, was the fucking governor. So not only was he a Republican, he was the fucking presidential candidate's brother. And remember, this is what I tried to explain to you guys, that Herbert Walker Bush was one of the mastermind strategists to like laying out plans in the 60s and 70s, 80s. They were laying out plans in the year 2000. And ever since the year 2000, the amount that you could plan into the future has been dropping off in major fucking steps, it seems. And so that if you recount, it's not going to change, man. I'm pretty sure, as I've been pretty sure since 2018, it is not going to change. So the future now is totally wide open. And then at the end of the day, Biden is not technically the leader. I am. You are. We are the leaders. The 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, even the 60-year-olds. That Biden and Trump is the very, very last gasp of the baby boomers. Biden and Trump is the very last generational handoff before your grandpa hands over the car keys. And we're like, just because grandpa hands over the car keys, grandpa can still smoke a joint on the porch, whatever state he's in. If he wants to, he can still eat ice cream and Monte Cristo sandwiches if he wants to. You know, if grandpa's... So, like, you still want the baby boomers to have a good future. I want them all to have some type of fucking healthcare. Our entire healthcare system is super fucked. It's like our prison system, to where now you have stock markets trying to squeeze every single penny out of every aspect and layer of both the prison system and the healthcare system. Dude, that is so fucked up. And then you have a social security system that, like, is supported by $27 trillion worth of fucking debt. And that, so we are back to the cycle of hyperinflation being one of the biggest problems we are fucking facing together. Sidebar, as far as like weird national leader news, because to me, Netanyahu and Putin have been two of the biggest leaders since they've been in power for 20 years. We had a weird thing a week ago come out, or a couple days ago, I can't even tell time anymore, man, that Putin had Parkinson's and was going to step down. And now today there are reports that Putin's like, no, that ain't true. And so I don't know what's going to happen. It reminds me of back to when the North Korea leader was supposedly in a coma from corona. And then he was like, no, I'm fine. And then they were like, he's in a coma. And then he's like, no, I'm fine. And then I was like, man, this may get me in trouble with my followers, but I bet if I sat down with his sister and she was single and we had a passionate discussion and argued a lot, there's a chance I would make out with her. I'm single, man. I haven't kissed anyone since Taylor. That was December of 2017. Oh my God. Man, what a long fucking haul. Love you guys. And so I have talked about for a year letting the grandmother spirit of America, letting the black grandmother spirit of America be the dominating force. And yeah, she's going to feed her children, and grandkids. She's going to make sure everybody's got a place to stay, lights on. And that I have talked to you guys endlessly about the idea that capitalism is dead, communism is dead, socialism is dead. We are in unfucking charted territory. And that people only throw out the term socialism if you're talking about any program that benefits your fellow human being. And that through this entire pandemic, I've said the main things we should do is make sure people are fed, the power grid is kept up, the supply chains are running, keep people in their homes. That the people are the ones that I protect. The people are the ones that I love. It's not the political parties. and that we have to stabilize civilization. That I've seen no signs to make me think, look, dude, the United Kingdom just locked down for 4 weeks. 2 weeks before that, Israel locked down for 3 weeks, I think, or 2. And that just lockdowns are not a solution. But I do think it's, if you, I've said many times that like Wall Street is not going to give us the good information about vaccines or the ways that we are going to contract the virus. That's just not their job, man. And so the main way I've been doing it is by avoiding people. But I was doing that for 2 years before the pandemic started. And please remember this, like you're allowed to, you don't have to agree with me on the virus. You don't have to agree with me on the fact that Biden is our president. But I would guess your opinion is not going to change that thing. I think, okay, I'm in a state, Texas, where El Paso's like on its 3rd emergency morgue. They're sending in the army. They're sending in the National Guard. They're sending in, like, they're doing everything they can. They tried to have a lockdown in El Paso, Texas. El Paso, Texas is having a major outbreak. And that our governor, just like me, our governor, Greg Abbott, has been non-political as much as he could, but during the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's gotten super political, and he's gone super to the right and to the red. Even so much so that, like, the day Joe fucking Rogan showed up in Texas, he invited Joe fucking Rogan to the Capitol, and that they both took maskless pictures together. And so I don't know what my state is going to do. I know that our governor has declared no matter what, we're never going back into lockdown. And so, like, I can't express this enough. On this one day that I get to, like, kind of celebrate, get drunk, and be happy, I'm aware that regardless of who wins the presidency, the next year and a half are going to be super fucking rough. And that we have done both sides, the Republicans and Democrats, have fucked up the response to the coronavirus completely on every level. And they have been weak. And they have been only worried about an election. And so this is like I'm saying, that like, whether you agree with me or not, that is totally cool. We are going to see a wave of death roll across the USA probably for the next 6 weeks. I would guess it will peak in November. And that I avoided people for months. I took a chance on Halloween, November 1st, and that I will have quarantine time. I'm already a week in to where I'm not really visiting anyone. I'm not seeing anybody. And so if I go home to my mom, who's in her 70s, I will not be bringing my mother the coronavirus. I mean, and I don't know if I'm going to just see my mom and her boyfriend or a larger portion of my family, which I have not seen since 2018. I don't even know if I'm going to get to see my mom. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough money to pick up my fucking car. But I'm saying I have worked to make sure that I'm not giving the coronavirus to my neighbor, my mom or anyone I might see in the future. And it's definitely one of the most frustrating things out there. And both sides have totally fucked up the response to it. And so that's why, as Planetary Defense Commander, we really need Trump to come to his people at some point and say, look, the coronavirus didn't disappear. We all have to fucking meet it together. And dude, like, honestly, like, this is just a guess, but they're not going to roll out a vaccine for at least minimum 7 more months. They may not roll out a vaccine in 2021. Like, that is what I'm operating with, is that we are not going to see a vaccine in 2021. And so I don't spend a lot of time on vaccine speculation. And that, from what I learned in microdust from like 10 years ago, dude, they can fucking microdust you. They don't need you to fucking inject a vaccine. They don't need you to, they don't, you're already microdusted if they were going to microdust you. And so I would guess that vaccine fear is going to be a large issue. But I don't think anyone is going to be offering you or your family a vaccine in the next 7 months. And I would guess 2021. And then, like I said, our healthcare industry is used to selling you a pill that costs $2 for $3 or more. And so the idea that our government and corporations are going to roll out some cost-effective vaccine seems goofy to me. And now that I'm drinking, I'm just hanging out with y'all. Like, I voted for Obama the first time. And it was one of my proudest, happiest moments as an American. I've said this before, back in the 90s when it was popular, I was made an honorary African American a couple times by African Americans, black people. And I felt that's true. And so I was honored to help vote for and bring President Obama to us. But everything he did in his first term, I got upset because when the Obamacare was instituted, yes, everybody got Obamacare, but if you didn't sign up for health insurance, you got fined, and it gave everyone incredibly high premiums. And not a whole lot of coverage. And so health insurance stocks did incredible under him. But that was one of the things, and at the time, that was when I was anti-Federal Reserve. And so I voted for Romney the second time around, just because I had gotten that upset with Obama during his first term. And he wasn't going to legalize marijuana. But in retrospect, he's definitely the best president we've ever had in my lifetime. But like I said, I voted for Biden, and I am glad that I got to vote to help bring the first woman vice president ever. It's a pretty cool American moment. Because the industrial age, post 1800s, has definitely been super masculine. And that's what I thought was weird about Trump, is he kept talking about he was going to roll out his healthcare plan. He was going to roll out his healthcare plan. He's going to roll out his healthcare plan. For 4 fucking years, the guy said he's going to roll out a healthcare plan. Even like 2 months before the election, he said, I'm rolling out my healthcare plan in 2 weeks. He never did. He never did. And that's what I thought was funny. And like I said, I'll get rid of politics in a week. But the fact that the 2 biggest stories, like the 2 months before the election, that they were basing their entire re-election on was Obama Gate, where that somehow Obama had spied on him during his election, and Hunter Biden's emails. I mean, that was some of the weakest sauce. Like, if you have to have like 3 tent poles going into the last month or 2 that you're going to be selling people on. Like, look, I have your attention, and this is what I'm going to use your attention, and this is the reason you should elect me. And so going with Obamagate and Hunter Biden's emails, it just showed that they really hadn't learned or changed or evolved since 2016. That shit all worked in 2016. It didn't work anymore. Dude, the coronavirus changed everything. And that metaphorically, here at Thor News, since February, we have operated off the idea that the coronavirus may have been bioengineered, and that one group tried to steal it from a lab in China, and that the stealing of it went bad, and just like a movie, in slow motion, the vials spun into the earth and then hit the ground, and the virus went out. That no one planned for it. Nobody wanted it. It was never a pandemic. It was never, and that it's not going away, and that it is a problem that we manifested by not uniting and not getting past the oil and war system. And so the next 4 years is a time where it's not about the baby boomers. It is about everyone under them who has to rise up and be your own leader in your own town, with your own friends, with your own family, with that. Like, we have a shit ton of problems that have been left over for 2,000 years, and we all have to figure out a way to solve them. That, like, I can't even express that, like, the server industry in the United States has been like an absolute backbone, and it has been a privilege that we have all enjoyed. The fact that we would pay waiters $2.15 and have them put up with the worst abuse of almost any profession, and then hope to get a good tip off their performance and service. I mean, we've already agreed to fucking screw those people and let them get the short end of the stick of capitalism for so long. And that during the pandemic, the fact that we let all the, like, we didn't, no, neither political party stood up hardcore for the servers, the people that have been serving us for decades, and the people that have definitely been serving us for the last 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years of my lifetime. The fact that we let 5 to 10 million of those people go without a job and just be like, whatever, get another job. I mean, dude, that is so fucking lame on every fucking level. And that we're definitely going to be playing whack-a-mole. Like I said, you can come back here in 2 weeks, in a month, in 3 months, and that all the things that I told you about the coronavirus have hit fucking bullseye. I told you in February lockdowns were coming in March, when everyone else, especially on YouTube, was telling you it was a fucking hoax. I was guaranteeing you, your kids, your family, lockdowns were coming in March. And guess what? I was getting mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally prepared, and you could stock up and get all your shit ready if you had to stay home for a month. I was totally fucking correct. And then I told y'all I was 95% sure that in October we were going to see lockdowns coming back because this was not a fucking hoax. This was not just the flu. This was not going to disappear after the election. And that we would see some form of lockdowns rolling back. And so we've seen it in Belgium, Germany, Israel, UK, Ireland, France, Italy. And that I said lockdowns for us will probably return in some form or fashion to the 50 states, not all of them necessarily, after the election. And so you can come back in a month or come back in 2 months. And that I'm sure at this point that my ability to convey excellent information to y'all about the coronavirus will continue. And that it is going to be a major fucking problem that is going to plague all of us in all of our industries. And the entire time, Wall Street is going to be doing what it can to pump up its stocks and its Bitcoin. And I told y'all that before the election, I believe no matter who wins, we are going to see some type of stock market crash. And so I still believe that, and I believe that a stock market crash is technically necessary. Because if you were going to allow the stock market to continue at a hockey stick pace, that we would get to hyperinflation and a breakdown of the entire debt credit system. And that you have to cool that motherfucker off somehow. And so I would guess that a correction is coming. And I said that before the election, that regardless of who wins. But I will say again, since day one, when Bitcoin hit 18K, I said, here's the deal. I believe Bitcoin is going to fucking stick around, and the video is still there, and it's an amazing edited video. Bitcoin is still going to be around, and that it will do well, but they're going to crash it just like they did stocks in 2000. Because now that everybody has gotten in, they want to scare the weak hands. And that Bitcoin will probably crash to 4,000. I said that around 18,000. I was 1,000% correct again. And as Planetary Defense Commander, I haven't really had any investments. I wish I would have bought a Bitcoin at 4,000 because I don't think we'll see Bitcoin at 4,000 again. But like I said, I think we could see it anywhere between 5 and 6 in a real crash. But yeah, like crypto coins are here to stay. And you know what is so weird to me? I don't know if you guys have watched the evolution of the truth community. But from like 2015 on, you had people telling everyone that Bitcoin was the mark of the beast. Before the fucking coronavirus, you had almost every YouTube channel telling you the Bitcoin was mark of the beast. Digital money. The New World Order is coming to take away your cash and give you digital money. And then, lo and behold, if you fast forward to 2019, all the same channels that were telling you it was the mark of the beast were all pro-crypto. And during that time, I have given you excellent advice. And I think in 2018, 2017, I made the call of like, look, man, I don't see the stock market going and staying much higher over 27,000, the Dow Jones. And so I would get out now and you could just stay liquid with powder. And so the last time I checked, the Dow Jones, it was a day ago, was still at 27,000. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm grateful. And that from my perspective, I definitely feel like I have been a bully magnet for 5 years, and I have dealt with all the big bullies who are very happy to gaslight the USA and everyone for money. And so it was my job up until the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction to make sure that the bullies wouldn't be in power anymore. And so I feel like a large portion of my job in this regard is done. And so I am, like, I could die today, very happy man. I have not been focused on money, fame, views. But I have been a bully magnet because that's how God created me my whole life. And that Mars's rule is almost over. And that is wonderful news. And cheers to all the bully magnets out there. But on that note, we're getting a giant heat up. So for 5 years, I've been hearing the truth and weather community who went super political in 2015 say that some mini ice age is coming. And baby, it is going to be a hot fucking November. It was hot yesterday in Houston. And so, yeah, I don't think the mini ice age is coming, man. And if it is coming, just like I can tell you guys about a hurricane 3 weeks ahead of time, I would like to know when is this fucking supposed mini ice age coming? Another thing, it was so easy to sell a grand solar minimum during a solar minimum. But that during solar maximum, it will be much harder. And the sun is one of the first subjects that got me into my channel, and that I love the sun, and I feel like I have a personal relationship with the sun, and I believe the sun is like a living creature that hears our thoughts and whispers and songs, and can remember the day every single one of us was born, and that if you were going to have a symbol for Jesus Christ, what is better than the sun? And that no one knows what the sun is going to do, and I think we are going to see the sun evolve before our eyes in magnificent ways. And so the solar flux is already over 90. It's at like 92.1. And we've got 5 years till solar maximum. Although the last time we had a double peaked minimal solar maximum where it went up one and then went down and came back up again. And so I do not know what the sun is going to do, but I can pretty much guarantee you it is not just going to go into super low activity for the next 30 years. And I will celebrate that because when we get into solar minimum, everything gets shitty. And then when we get to solar maximum, everything gets better. And that no one knows what the sun is going to do next. And that all basic indicators since the sun hit solar minimum are that the sun has been overperforming with solar flux and with sunspot numbers and with solar flares, even over NASA's prediction. And NASA predicted that this solar maximum would be just like last solar maximum. And so it is already exceeding the activity of the very last solar maximum. And that if you were with me from 2012 to like 2014, 2015, the entire time it was me battling people on Godlike Productions, and I'm pretty sure it was the same people who were saying that solar activity was low. That no matter what happened, they're always like, solar activity is low. We're headed towards a grand solar minimum. And so after 5 years, I'm wondering, when is this fucking mini ice age going to show up? And you know what is really funny? That whether Twitter has become political. And so, much to my chagrin, it was the place I ran from politics. So I like stopped everything else. And so there's this guy, the head conservative weather guy named Ryan Maue. He's like officially weather. And so the White House had instituted him as like the head of weather, like the presidential meteorologist. And technically he blocked me on Twitter a year and a half ago when I suggested the wildfires in California were technically due to the magma moving underground, and that I had predicted them in a greater wildfire season from the gas giants. And so he just straight up blocked me. And I was like, don't block me, bro. You still put out some good information. And so that dude left his job and was going to be the presidential weather guy. He was going to be like the grand solar minimum weatherman. Anyway, he lost his job. And hey, bro, between us, yeah, the carbon tax is fucking bullshit. You hear everyone talking about climate change, but you don't hear everyone talking about how the carbon tax is like the dumbest fucking thing ever. That like basically what they do is they want to tax the oil industry, and that somehow through taxes that is going to reduce consumption. And so it is a horrible plan, and it is no solution at all. And so that's what, like, I've been in the middle where that I don't think greenhouse gases are the absolute sole driver of our weather. But that absolutely your carbon tax is not a fucking solution at all. But that we aren't going into some grand solar minimum, and we're not going to have a fucking mini ice age. And so in the like for the 8 years I've been doing YouTube, it's been like me versus the fucking mini ice agers. And so my question is, when is the mini ice age gonna show up? It's just like selling the rapture. Like, when is the rapture gonna happen? No man knows the time of the hour. And I guess the mini ice age is the same. So the mini ice age is like the rapture of conservative weather pundits. But it brings us back to full circle. Of that, like, dealing with the oil industry has not been easy. Is not easy. It will not be easy. The oil industry is more powerful than presidents. And so we have, Asteroid Fight Club, our work is still cut out for us. Study the Tesla energy, said Noodles. But I think, Noodles, if we're on the same page here, we know that you could provide electricity to everyone at pennies on the dollar. That Tesla invented wireless phones. Tesla invented energy from the Earth's magnetic field. I mean, in all the videos I've watched from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they talk about how you could power all your power stations off the waves of the ocean. And that has been all of Asteroid Fight Club for 135 years. We've been in an oil and war economy. It started around 1888. We had World War I in 1914. We had World War II in 1941. And then since 1984, we've had a passive World War III. And that 2 planes hit the towers, 3 buildings fell, and then we invaded Iraq. And that from the time I was born in 1971 until like the year 2001, gasoline was always $1. A gallon of gasoline, whether it was my mom, my dad, my stepdad, me, whoever was driving, gasoline for my entire life, other than the Carter age, it was always $1. And remember, what did they use during the Carter age to cause oil pandemics? Terrorism. They had terrorists hijack planes, and somehow that massively affected the oil prices. And so in the year 2001, we had the towers hit, and oil, the price of gasoline of a gallon went from $1 to anywhere between $5 and $2 for almost 20 years. And that when I say that the grand transition is basically past, of like the petroleum and war age to the age of Aquarius. Ooh. Nobody minds again. I just want to say I love all y'all. You guys are great. This is a book from 1996 I bought because it talked about all the prophecies that were predicted to happen in the year 2000. And I definitely think it has greatly affected me. And so, this was written in 1996. Where are my glasses? Ay, caramba. And so, from my experience, most people's predictions. Oh, this lighting is fantastic on me, huh? Ay, caramba. Here we go again. Oh, and that was how Dave Chappelle started his bumper for the new Saturday Night Live. He started the whole thing with, "Here we go again." Okay, so this is called The Dawning of Aquarius. This chapter of this book, Millennium Prophecies, is asking when the dawn of Aquarius actually starts. In 1989, the breakup of communism. 1997, the psychologist Carl Jung's date for the arrival of a new age. 1999, Nostradamus predicts the arrival of the King of Terror in September, possibly followed by our Armageddon. Not really a candidate for a beginning of the new age, but useful as a marker. On 11th August 1999, there will occur the last eclipse of the 20th century, a Grand Cross astrological formation. Remember, this was written in 1996, 1994. The year 2000, chosen by many Christian and non-Christian prophets as the key date, including Nostradamus, the Second Coming, Saint Malachi, by inference, Edgar Cayce, the Virgin Mary at Fatima, and many Christian, particularly fundamentalist writers and preachers. 4 or 5 May 2000 brings a significant astronomical formation which according to Richard Kingeringer and the Stelly Group will bring cataclysmic destruction. 2001. Arithmetically, a more sound choice than the previous year, with support for the Seventh-day Adventists, Hebrew chronology, and Nostradamus. Both dates are more closely associated with the apocalypse and the second coming of Christ than the dawn of the Aquarian Age. 2010. A date favored by a number of writers on esoteric subjects. And hey, can I tell you something between us, buddy, ma'am? My first name is the letter T. Letter T. It's like a hammer. And my first name is the letter T. My middle name is Eric. E-R-I-C. So every time I see the word esoteric, I'm like, hey, that's crazy. That's my name in the word. Tarek. In ESO is European Space Organization. (2010), a date favored by a number of writers on esoteric subjects, including Nicholas Tereshchenko, Peter Lemessurier, and the latter giving French Institut Graphique National as his authority. 2012, Jose Arrugules suggests that this year marks the end of the 396-year age. According to the ancient Mayan calendar, Terence and Dennis McKenna regard the date as a culmination of many timescales. 2013, the end of the Inca calendar. According to Willaruhu Hawuta, the new age will be ushered in by a close passage to Earth by a huge asteroid. And so that's around when Asteroid Fight Club was formed. Remember, the asteroid did pass, I think it was 2013, blew out the windows in Russia. (2020). On December 21st this year, Jupiter and Saturn will be in conjunction in Aquarius for the first time since AD 1404. So that's 3,424 years the last time you had Jupiter and Saturn conjuncting in Aquarius. The ancient Jews certainly prized the particular conjunction as a portent of major change. 2023, Waldben pinpoints this date as the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And so, I don't know, for like 30 years, I've been asking people, because I've been obsessed with the book of Revelation, that when the Christ returns to earth, his second coming, the Parousia, do you believe he will come born as a man and grow up just like the first Christ, Jesus? Or do you think he will come in on a horse with a bunch of angels in the sky, like a Pegasus? I've asked that question over 30 years, hundreds of times, because it's always interesting to see people try and interpret it. I've always believed he would be born as a man. And so, yeah, the whole like obsession with the second coming of Christ has happened since like the year 70 AD. So that's cool, dude. And then, look, man, I tried to explain this in earlier live streams, that they branded our minds. They branded our minds with doom, end of the world, end times in the year 2000, the Y2K bug, and that they had everyone focused on doom and end of the world going into the year 2000, the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. And so almost 20 years later, we have an actual virus. We have what feels like Armageddonish times, and that everything has broken down in the year 2020. So even the narrative system is busted. And so we have this 6 weeks, 7 weeks to raise our frequency, improve our attitude, and get to a vibration that we all enjoy, and take that into the year 2020, the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. That, like, if I understand correctly, most astronomy from even before Christ's birth, they always saw the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction as the most important heavenly body thing that would happen. That those 20-year cycles were like, out of all the things we see, that was having Jupiter and Saturn come together was the Super Bowl. And so here you and I are together in the Super Bowl of 2020. And that I told y'all in February at the end that Trump said that the USA had 15 cases of the coronavirus, and that would soon drop to 0. And that I said I would vote for him if he was correct, and that I would vote against him if he was incorrect. And oh, was he wrong. And so I've been tweeting since March that he was done. That you can't misfire that badly on a major issue and win re-election. And so looks like I was correct. And that technically the Biden presidency isn't really about Biden, it's about us. They're like, this is our make it or break it. That we are the leaders of today and tomorrow. And I definitely want everyone to focus on having a good Thanksgiving. And I realize it's going to take people a couple weeks to get it out of their system. And dude, honestly, if you put up how a person voted versus the coronavirus deaths over the next 4 months, it is going to be like 70% are going to be Republicans that die, and 30% are probably going to be Democrats. Could be like 60-40 or 60-40. But I'm just saying, it is... If you look at the peak of deaths in America during the coronavirus, it happened at the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. The first one was in like April, and the second one was in like June. And that the third one, because remember, Jupiter went backwards across Pluto. Jupiter went across Pluto, then went back across Pluto, and then now it's going forward again across Pluto. And so it happens on the 14th or 15th, and then Mars goes direct around the exact same date. And then you have your new moon in Scorpio. Biden's a Scorpio. On pretty much that little period, that energetic period of the 14th to the 16th is going to be just a giant push of energy. And that, so death is going to be a huge fucking deal. It's going to be big. And so I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I'm not doing or wouldn't do. And so I've laid out my strategies with Thanksgiving. And that I've not gotten a hug from my mother since 2018. And I would like to get a hug from my mother again. But that when I do not want to give her the virus. And there are going to be a lot of people, millions, who think the virus is a fucking hoax. And that I definitely think we're going to have major... So remember, Trump is going to be in office all through November, all through December. And so only he has the power to get all his people on the same page. But I definitely think we're going to see a major surge and coronavirus problem through the middle of December. And that, so I think Thanksgiving is going to be fucked up. And the 2 weeks after it are going to be fucked up. But that by December, Christmas, people may have a better understanding, a better idea that it is real. Please remember, I haven't changed or had to change my opinion on the subject since February. Technically January 30th, I think. And so just how I try to save lives with hurricanes, that this is the same but different. And that, like, you don't have to believe me. That I tried to do the math. That, like, let's say 230,000 people have died from the coronavirus in this year. If you times that by like 20, let's say a family is anywhere between 20 and 30 people if you count aunts, uncles, grandparents, kids. And so you times that by like 20 or 30 people. And so that is at least millions of people who know that the virus is real. And then if you include people who've had their family members hospitalized for getting the coronavirus, you get into a much larger number. And so I've tried to tell you guys again and again and again and again and again that I think I got it in October and November. And if you look back at my videos, I say multiple times, I'd never been sick like this before. It was some of the weirdest shit. I went deaf for like 2 days. And my energy just fucking dropped to zero. And I definitely think out of 2019 and 2020, that period was the time that I put out the absolute minimum amount of videos. And I was super grateful to y'all because at that time, you guys, I still made my fundraiser and got to continue to do what I do my way. And so to this day, it's why I've gained the extra 30 pounds over the last 40 pounds over the last year, that my energy definitely has not fucking returned. That I feel like I still have like 40% of the energy I had before last year. And that energy is everything as a human being. Because it's one thing to have your health, but then if you have your health and you're tired all the time, it fucking sucks. And so even though it hasn't been fun talking to y'all about the coronavirus, I've been operating off of like, dude, I wish I hadn't have got it. And I still hope and pray one day I will get energy back to old school levels. I definitely have dropped like 60 pounds. But things that will humble you as a human being. The day or two that I couldn't hear were scary fucking days for me. I mean, I felt like a snake to where you kind of still hear rumbles and stuff, but I couldn't hear anything out of my laptop, like nothing. That it attacks people in different ways. And so now that we're at this point, so I know multiple people now who have family members who are in the hospital, the virus. That this big battle is happening across the globe. And I think at this point, a lot of people 18 to 30 are like, hey, it's not going to kill me. It's not going to take out my hearing. I ain't got to worry about it. Like, that is going to be a rough and weird road we have to walk down. And I respect your right to believe whatever you want to believe. And that we are 3 days past the election. And like I said, we had 122,000 people with cases. We had 1,200 people die yesterday in America. And we're going into the winter. And I've told y'all that if I do get it again, I didn't go to the hospital the first time. And I probably wouldn't go to the hospital now. I do not like going to a hospital. And I took my chances a week ago to party. Okay, I love you guys. Happy Christmas. Kick-ass Kwanzaa. Happy Thanksgiving. And so, like, the entire focus of everything was pretty much Trump. And the idea that people are going to focus on stuff other than just one man is exciting to me. But if you still want to focus on Trump, you're still going to be able to, man. And it's a weird bookend from the year 2000. I think the number they put it at, for you to kind of understand the entire cycle of it all, you needed to be there at 9/11. You needed to see the world and experience it before 9/11 and then after 9/11. And that before 9/11 was the whole Bush versus Gore. And that everybody thought Gore was going to win. And then the recount was done and Bush won. And at that time, in the one state they needed the recount, Bush's brother, Bush had been governor of Texas, and his brother was governor of Florida. And the three biggest electoral college states are Texas, California, Florida, and New York. That's four, I think. And so if you have two of your sons as Republican governors in two of the largest four electoral states, you've almost won it from day one. But because our country is so electorally college and pretty much vote divided, it really went left brain, right brain, and that the Supreme Court had to recount and decide, and Bush was in office. And then 9/11 happened, and then then we invaded Iraq, and then you close out the end of the Bush presidency with the stock markets the stock market literally just imploded. And they had to drop interest rates to 0%, which they're all at now again, which had never happened before. Never. Like Asteroid Fight Club-y interest rates and Asteroid Fight Club were a giant thing. Inflation, food and power, guns and butter, belief systems, and cults. Was it talking about? Okay, let me put it in a term you may or may not understand. This is like Hogwarts. And right now, the head dude of Hogwarts is, you can choose either Willie Nelson or Bill Murray. And they're like, Bill Murray or Willie Nelson is like Planetary Defense Commander or American Defense Commander. And that Trump, like Obama was the professor of the dark arts, the head dude. And then it was Trump was our professor of the dark arts. And then so now, unless there's major changes, Biden is going to be our professor of the dark arts. Defense against the dark arts. Does that make sense? And to me, definitely, Trump was like the pink lady that was in book 5. And you can go find a GIF of her saying, I must have order. And Trump's always saying, I must have law and order. And that we will go on this dawning of Aquarius, and that us climbing out of the dark Camelot age may totally extend through 2023. Or at least till 2023. So we are in 2020, month 11, day 7 of the 2020 to 2022 Avengers Endgame timeline. Like, the Avengers movies are done in 2022. Except we're not the Disney world. We are a real life world. And so we have the X-Men here. Technically, we may or may not have the Justice League. We got the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. And I'm pretty sure we have some Airbenders. And if we could look at the Avengers Endgame world to where I still don't care how they cut it, that like half the animals and the people died. And that they have said that we've had like 66.65% of all the animals that should be alive now died in the last, since the 80s. And so yes, the coronavirus has only killed 0.46% of human beings on Earth so far. But the animals are at like 6.66% dead. And the fact that the Thanos plague snap clock is fucking ticking, that's major. So that, like, yes, technically you and I are doing better than the Disney World Avengers. And we definitely do not want to lose half the people. We've already lost more than half the animals. And that we can actually even fuck up worse to where we lose more than half the people. And so I don't get a lot of Asteroid Fight Club days to celebrate. But today I get Dave Chappelle and the Foo Fighters on Saturday Night Live. And the guy I voted for, it looks like he's gonna win. And I will make you a bet. Oh, we won't know. Oh, weird idea. I just had a crazy thought. So one of the things, you talk about things where, remember, I was neutral on Trump for a while. He definitely had his flaws. But the year that he did the White House Christmas, it was like 2 years ago. I drew pictures of it in my journal where he just had red trees. And it was like just a giant hallway of red fucking trees. Or like somebody just spray painted the entire tree just red. And so it was like the whole lead in with the pillars, it was all just fucking straight up red ass trees. It was at the exact same time he rolled out for the blueprints the wall. And the wall was just like these giant black spiky points up 50 feet into the air. And so I'll find where I drew the pictures. But that just freaked me out so much that like it was very Mars. It was just, for Christmas, there were no lights. There were no angel or star on top of the tree. Christmas is huge with me, bro. Super huge. Like, what religion are you part of? I'm part of the Christmas religion. With Christmas music and the Christmas spirit. Christmas love. And so, in 2018, 2019, he just had those giant red trees, man. And, and red is like blood. And I was like, yuck! I hate it! And so, it'll be very interesting to see what they do with, he will be president for Christmas. And so, what is your Bill Murray, Scrooged, Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, Ghost of Christmas Future, Donald Trump, 45, and family White House Christmas decoration going to look like? I would love to see 1,000 lights of all colors and angels and stars on top of every tree. And so, yeah, dude, for me, Planetary Defense Commander, no matter what, Trump created Space Force and he got us. Civilization did not collapse from 2016 to 2020. And so, as I've mentioned for months, that past the election, no matter who won, our main focus would be concentrating on having a fantastic Thanksgiving where all people of all races, all religions, all things recognize all the things we have to be faithful for. That, like, out of 5 to 10,000 years of civilization, the fact that I can make a Bombay gin drink with Big Blue, which is a spin-off of Big Red, into a glass while drinking a Angry Orchard beer cider while smoking a fucking cigarette, toking a vape pen, wearing a Justice League shirt, having a necklace that someone made for me of protection, and over my shoulder is my X-Man X next to a female Mandalorian. Wonder what's under that skirt. Am I okay to think that? A friend like you is truly a blessing. A dream catcher. The 3 wise men who saw the star and found baby Jesus. A note of cheer flowers. A super cute dog with his tail wagging happy. And someone made me this Thor is for Winners bookmark. That is amazing. And then I got Hagrid. Hulk, Captain America, and the Falcon, like, and I can wave a flag to you, and that the UPS Postal Service worked enough to send me all that stuff. Plus artwork you guys have sent me. And my air conditioning has been keeping my apartment at like 60 degrees. And my electricity is on. And last night I ate an entire DiGiorno pizza by myself. I was like, man, I shouldn't have done that. But it was good while I did it. And I did it in ranch dressing. And I got a refrigerator that keeps my food chill. Like, we got a lot to be thankful for. The fact that I made it to 8 years of putting out videos about whatever I wanted, however I wanted, my own style. I can say or do whatever. And I'm super, super, super thankful. I have so much to be. The fact that I still have a mom that is around that I might get to hug. The fact that I might be to make out with a beautiful woman again eventually. The fact that I will get to continue to see the sky evolve, which I believe it has been doing since 2012. And the sky is like a giant smartphone screen or TV screen or whatever screen above our heads. Like, have y'all ever been to Caesar's Palace? Caesar's Palace has a shopping center. And in the shopping center, the ceiling turns from day to night. And it's a very cool thing. If you ever get a chance, definitely walk through the Caesar's Palace Shopping Center, seeing their whole ceiling with the like weird Roman architecture vibe and the sounds of casinos. It is one of the cool, like, it was a cool thing. I've not made it over to Italy to see all their artworks, but I'm definitely glad that I got to walk through the Caesar's Palace shopping mall. And at the time, I think I was I'd learned a lot about Nero, and Nero was giant into architecture. So it had a very, like, all of Caesar's Palace had a weird Nero vibe to it. Anyway, so the sky is like a giant, it's like the number one player on the heavens are here now, 2020. The whole year. We've been watching the moon. The moon puts on a show every night she comes out with the clouds. She just dances and sparkles and illuminates, and the moon is super duper 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 always. A skylight, a nightlight, and magic that nobody can fucking explain, and only a few people supposedly have been to. And then Mars, definitely during this year of Mars retrograde, Mars has been gorgeous, and I have been able to see the moons of Mars, Phobos and, was it? Phobos? No. Deimos? Fear and Terror. I've been able to see the moons, but I've also been able to see the moons of Jupiter. And then there's Saturn. And in the sky, you look, like, mostly it's been like the moon and Saturn have been over, or the moon and Mars have been over here, and then like Saturn and Jupiter have been over here. So if you drew a straight line across the sky, like, it definitely looks like the moon and Mars have been on the same stage with Jupiter and Saturn, definitely for the last 4 or 5 months. And then now Venus is the morning star, starting to come out more, and Mercury will be visible for like a week or two over the next few weeks. And Mercury makes the rarest of appearances in the sky of all the basic visible planets that we see. So that post-election, for me, that like, okay, I'm trying to remind everybody that there's a giant show going on in the sky. And I'm very grateful that I have Dave Chappelle and the Foo Fighters. Like, all right, if everybody just had to kind of shut up, sit on their blanket, sip their hot toddy, wear their fucking mask, and watch the dance that Mars, the Moon, Saturn, and Jupiter and the other planets were putting on through the night, that you got like Dave Chappelle and the Foo Fighters take up like 4 hours of people's time. Although I'm thinking 6 weeks down the road. Then in a very Asteroid Fight Club kind of way. Yeah, okay, cool. You guys are great. I love you. And I'm all in on peace on Earth. Oh. Ain't nobody got good reason against it. I mean, they may disagree. We're all allowed to have our own opinions, yo. And thanks to Miles Morales' Spider-Man, that animated movie was very, 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 very good. The multi-dimensional shit. You can have a Henry Cavill Superman with an Andy Samberg Superman with a Chris Hemsworth Thor in some type of pure comedic Friends / Cheers / Parks and Rec / Brooklyn 99 kind of a way. Because streaming changed the whole game of movies and media as we know it. I've been discussing this since the 90s and now we're here. You know? It was strange. When I was in the 90s and I was in Hollywood for that year as one of the best screenwriters in town, I used to call myself the franchise kid. Because I was just spilling with franchises. You know, if you could make movies and your ideas and make them all come true and make them be really great, I was good at that shit. And so, if you have the Marvel Universe, you've got like, over the next 10 years, you've got like 1,000 hours of actual programming, which technically, if you break that down, a movie is 2 hours. It's like 500 movies that are pretty much all under the same umbrella. And that you have all 500 of those things leading in the same, I don't know, they did really well with Avengers 2011 to 2019 age. And so that ship has not launched yet, what they're going to do with the next 10 years of the whole Disney umbrella, you know? And so the plague and the pandemic even slowed that shit down. And I have been watching that shit so closely, you know, since I started, you know, I guess since I was like 7. Because good guys are real, man. I have met many and trained under many in my lifetime. Good people make Earth great. And that Earth is a giant team. It's not one man. And so I go back to the why are we fighting? I don't know who you are, but why are we fighting? And having a global initiative to feed everyone every day. And in return for everybody being fed every day, we all have to agree to recognize the importance of water. And that we all have to do our part to maintain good water in our oceans our lakes, our rivers, and all around us. That, like, if I was king of Earth, nah, I believe good kings are good. Can be. That, like, yeah, your first mission, your base mission is to make sure everybody in your kingdom is always fed. And everyone in your kingdom has a place to sleep. And I would definitely love to live in a kingdom without war. I'm not taking away competition. Like, if you still want to take out your angst in, like, UFC fighting and paintball wars, and when I was a kid, my dad, who was in the Air Force, and it was cool, highwayman, he used to take me to the Texas and Colorado. Used to have, I think it was Texas and Colorado. They used to have a big tomato fight where all these people would show up, and the two states would have tomato wars and just throw tomatoes at each other back in the day. And a lot of people would show up, and I think a lot of motorcycles showed up as well. Everybody had a great time. And there was a weird Texas-Colorado rivalry that was absolutely acknowledged, but it was very, very, very friendly, very neighborly. And so it's now until, we're looking at 2023. Like, Pluto doesn't leave Capricorn until 2023, 2024. Saturn and Jupiter leave Capricorn around the 20th, winter solstice of this December. And so they're going into the future. They're going to the age of Aquarius. And Pluto, which is like wealth, the underworld, death, the ride between here and the underworld. They've still got another like 2 or 3 more years in Capricorn. So yeah, clean water, feed everybody, give everybody a place to stay, and stop fighting. That sounds like a cool decade, man. I'm definitely to the point where we're now thinking about Earth like a spaceship. And with Earth as a spaceship, we've got a weird invisible virus alien on it. And I've always proposed the theory of fighting it with sonics and like physical, actual vibration of we are writing songs to kick it off our planet to we're literally attacking it with songs and music and guitar tones and stacked amps and whatever vibration it is on. We, like paladins or shaman, druids, the healers, like we get this fucking thing weakened and away from our people as much as possible. And I've been suggesting that since February. It's like a bad attitude that has been manifested into a fucking bug flu. But that, like, between us, we're definitely going to see a winter wave Game of Thrones that, like, have given good guidance all year. And that, you know, whether it be Gale Sayers, Eddie Van Halen, Sean Connery, Kenny Rogers, Charlie Daniels, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like Kobe Bryant, the Black Panther, Robert Trump, there's definitely a very Avengers Thanos. And that with that Jupiter and Pluto conjunction on June 14th, and like a 3-act narrative structure, this is the third time. Like, I've been looking at this one for a while. So I'm a Sagittarius, which is very Jupiter-esque. And so whether you want to think about like Game of Thrones, the as Planetary Defense Commander, I've been talking about the big winter battle with this invisible aliens, James Cameron, John Carpenter. That like we gotta play defense and somehow fight it. And that I'm not looking to the medical industrial complex to solve the problem in the next 2 years. And so that means we as the people got to figure it out and play good defense. And on some type of mystical, magical, good energy levels, Jesus Christ and my Lord and Savior, King of Kings, figure out how to get that vibration, frequency, attitude off this fucking planet. And at some point in time, sorry to keep bringing this up, but I would like to know, like from Elon, if we go 3 more months and I'm correct and that this thing was not just a basic flu, what did you do, dude? Why? Why, Iron Man? Why? Like, this is a big battle now. No matter what, it's just the fucking thing. It's Planetary Defense Commander. We got like 1,200 people we're losing a day on top of the normal fucking average. Before that, it was like my stepdad, Stan Lee, William Goldman. Like that whole, the 2018 run has just been. So it's a beautiful day. Today. So I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? And for a long time, they were like, trust the plan. And I was like, they don't have a plan. So now we're back to square one and we need a plan. And you can't let negative thoughts dominate or even enter the discussion. We definitely do not need to listen to people who tell us we can't do better than this. We can do better than this. And so whether you want to think about it as White Walkers from Game of Thrones or ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings, that all year has been a very Plutonian month, and that every day has been like a Day of the Dead for animals and human beings. And I think we're going to make it. But I'm definitely asking everyone to be cool and be smart. And think 3 to 7 steps ahead for the rest of the year. That is the 7th today. I think the Thanksgiving is the 26th. That gives you 19 days to figure out what you're going to do for that period of time. Hopefully, you will be smart. And I try to remind people about basic facts that, like, look, at this point in time, you have, I would guess, 60%, 65% of the globe wearing their mask the majority of the time or a lot of the time. And that knowing that fact, knowing that we are seeing number spikes in line with what we saw in Wuhan, what we saw in Italy, what we saw in New York, what we've seen happen in other Brazil, that the real numbers, as I've talked about all year for the winter wave, for the White Walkers, we're not going to look at how, like, we'll know in December or January as far as like how bad we've done during the winter wave. so I'm just asking everybody to be smart and yeah, treat it like it's real. You don't have to live in fear, but take calculated risks. Because to me, every time you see 100,000 cases, that is around 4,000 deaths. Though it can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months to roll out. Hospitalizations are back to scary levels. Some places in different areas are having, like, they're overrun. And it's like the butterfly effect. I don't know how many people watch me. I don't know how many people listen. I don't know how many times people's behaviors are affected by the things that I say. But if you know that one single carrier of the virus can affect 20 to 100 people, then any single person you can change, that has a pretty large effect. And even if you are talking about doing a herd mentality attitude towards the whole thing, you are trying to avoid too many large groups getting hit at once, to where you do have hospitals overrun or supply chains totally affected. I mean, like, if it is geoengineered and there will be no vaccine, like HIV, then you're just gonna have to handle it in fucking waves. Would like to reiterate again, though I drink beer, gin, spritz myself with the thought of divine feminine solar plexus. The planetary defense commander has been, okay, so during the pandemic, I have been injecting myself with sitcoms. Or like I have to fall asleep or watch when I eat sitcoms when I do not work. And so it was like Cheers and Brooklyn 99 before this, and a whole lot of Parks and Rec, and I did Frasier, and I just finished Entourage for the second time, a whole lot of Silicon Valley, like 3 or 4 times. And so I just started Friends again. I've tried The Office. Billy likes it. I know it's, which character am I supposed to really, really like? Schitt's Creek. And then I tried to watch The Queen's Woman. Anyway, so I watching Friends. And I made it through like season 1. And Friends is a super great show. Amazing fucking cast. Brilliant writing. Hilarious. And their joke per minute ratio, I think, is the highest of them all. To where they can tell a decent joke. Like, how many jokes per minute can you do? Like, that's, to me, that's like the king shit of that. If you can tell one good joke a minute, you are gold. Like, in a movie, that's like 100 good jokes, bro. Jokes of the winner. If you can make people laugh, you are a healer. And it creates love. Okay, what was I talking about? And so there's this thing with Joey, who's an actor, and Joey's my favorite character. And then you gotta give super love to Ross and Phoebe as far as like joke telling skills and killing the laugh. But Joey becomes like the face of venereal disease. And so, like, as an actor, you know, you don't get to control what drug commercial you're in or whatever. And so, for the like New York posters, Joey is the face of venereal disease. It's like, what is this guy not telling you? Venereal disease. And so, this is what's the weird thing. If I'm like the principal of the high school who's having to come on and give the announcement every day, or if I'm on Borders Bookstore as the manager having to give the entire crew every day before everybody goes to work, they're like, here's the team plan. In the whole Planetary Defense Commander team plan thing, like the coronavirus is really like the VD of shit I gotta talk to you guys about. Like, that, just even like how to deal with it, the fact that it's real and that you gotta wear a mask. It's just been like, I feel like it's like a venereal disease defense against dark arts salesman. And I've been extremely grateful for the fact that I have had the privilege of sitting in my apartment for the majority of 2020 and not getting the virus again. Not this year, though. But that everybody out there not as privileged and lucky to like take that fucking shit seriously. That if my original core story of this escape from a fucking lab when the groups couldn't get along, we couldn't unite in time, and that there's a chance we won't hit the frequency level till we can kick its ass off this fucking planet, that'll be around till 2022, 2023. Then, like most plagues, will fade. That like, be smart, be cool. That like, would you rather go to 10 lame parties or one good party? That is definitely subjective. Yeah, it's like I told the venereal disease metaphor is accurate because it's like saying, hey, yo, bro, like, I gotta come on today. Like, hey, man, wear a condom. Which gets me back to my other passion issue of abortion, of getting both sides to just prevent having unwanted pregnancies ahead of time. Legalize marijuana and the oral sex amongst adults initiative. Those are going to be my gubernatorial or presidential platforms. Oh, yeah, okay, if we got to give super cheers up, like, there were multiple states, including New Jersey, who were like, we were legalizing marijuana for, like, hey, we just want to purposes. Like, hey, as an educated, intelligent adult, I'll figure out how to handle my weed, just like I hopefully figured out how to handle my alcohol and tequila. That I can do this shit. And so that, like, we have slowly watched over, definitely since 1999 till now, the legalization of marijuana, which I am super pro. That took major steps. Though the state that I'm still in, Texas, is not there yet, which still blows my mind. Because 99% uh, shout out to black people and the police. May we all find better ways of getting along together. Jimi Hendrix, Prince, and Eddie Murphy. Now, between us, I give like super duper 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 Christian status to Jimi Hendrix. Like if there was one guy who seemed to encapsulate the Christ spirit the most in the coolest of ways from all the research I've ever done. Everybody, Christians put Jesus Christ on like the first pedestal. If you hand out a silver fucking medal, that as a Christian, I would hand out that silver medal to Jimi Hendrix. And that as far as that, like the human beings that have and Americans that have rated that what a cool good Christian is, like Jimi Hendrix, it would go Jesus and then Jimi Hendrix, man. And we definitely live in a world where sometimes people have said Jesus and Sarah Palin back in the day, like Jesus and Trump. But I'm definitely like, if you had to pick a number two Christian, like Jimi Hendrix is definitely the most. He got it. And Jimi Hendrix is the year 3000. If you know me, all the time I've been blah 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 about Jimi Hendrix. That he went past Back to the Future. He went to the year 3000, and then he came back and was like, "All right, I went to the future. I'm back. It's cool." And then like his number one Padawan was like Prince, and I definitely see a direct connection in the lineage between Jimi Hendrix and Prince. And whether you want to call them highwaymen or Star Lords, or whatever term you want to fucking use that does not offend you or anyone in your family or friends. That like, of all the things that you could be, that when you were a man, you were here. Those two dudes are super amazing, and they exhibited it in their words and their works. And what part of their works was figuring out, I believe that music is the language of God. Music is the language of the universe. That we see Mother Nature in harmony, giving us a symphony. Like a summer night when you have the cicadas and the frogs and the wind wisping and singing, it is one of the greatest things you will ever encounter. And that of all the things you can do as a man, to understand and get close to mastering the electric guitar and the words behind it, that so that if you're gonna ring the bell as a man, definitely Jimi Hendrix and Prince, like those two dudes lived a good life and were pretty amazing Americans. And coincidentally, we're both Christians. And like just like the three horsemen, the three wise men that showed up, Christ was born. I don't know. I would guess that like Jimmy, Jim, and Janice were kind of like the ones who helped describe or color the Aquarian age. There were many, of course, but so yeah, over the next 6 weeks, the people who are going to have the hardest jobs are going to be the police. Absolutely. The people in hospitals, the EMTs, firefighters, and the poorest of the poor people. The people who are running out of food or a place to stay. A man without hope is a man without fear. And you guys are super duper fantastic. And I hear a train a-coming, is coming around the bend. It is a beautiful day. I would never want to take the state rivalries away, for sure. When the Olympics started, the Olympic Games, did they start in the 1912, 1920s? The Olympic Games, that the idea that Mount Olympus and all the gods of earth, we all being children of God, the fact that like maybe it was 1908, the fact that all the nations would have a competition of all their greatest athletes to see which nation was the greatest nation in some type of Olympian Games. Of all the nations, which man was the fastest in the 100-yard dash? The greatest swimmers, greatest skiers. Which nation held the most super athletes? The world in games versus each other. Yeah, that remember Jesse Owens made Hitler look like that's what I'm saying, like it's one of the coolest moments in like world history. When Jesse Owens got to stand on the gold medal, fist raised, and Hitler had to be like memed out. That was a cool moment for freedom. And for me personally, it's definitely been a crazy year. I'm surprised I'm still alive. And, you know, at the end of 2020, I got to reevaluate what the world is and do I want. I mean, I've been doing this for 8 years. Yo. At some point, I would like anywhere from 2 to 3,000 to 10,000, or if not more, work of dental work. I want to save all these fucking teeth in the front. I mean, I may avoid the hospital like a motherfucker, but damn, I don't want my front teeth to motherfucking fall out. And even if you join some type of Obamacare health insurance, they ain't gonna cover your fucking teeth, man. Tooth doctoring is fucking expensive. But the Viking in me is like, hey man, just do your best. You may lose a couple teeth. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Self-care has not been number one concern. But I'm going to do what I can to get us through this year. Thank you, T. Thank you. Hopefully you guys noticed that I don't take a lot of time off of work. And hopefully I've let you guys know enough that there is a possible low pressure system situation coming to Florida and Cuba, and it totally fucked up Guatemala and Central America. And as much as I haven't been enjoying the day, seeing those giant celebrations is still freaking me the fuck out, dude. Yo, man. Like Zoom celebrations. I don't know. I'm good though. Okay, cool. I love you, and thank you, Teresa. Teresa. Definitely, absolutely. And thank you all Teresas out there in the whole chain of cool Teresas. Okay, so it is 7:24. Saturday Night Live starts in 3 hours. And I probably fucked up making an ass of myself. That is okay. 11/7/2020. Wait, someone in the chat, Noodles, I believe, was talking about Listerine. So over my left shoulder, which this is the Beetlejuice shoulder. So that in Orion, if Orion is up against the sky, depending on you're looking at it, Betelgeuse is Orion's left shoulder. And Betelgeuse has still been dimming. But I got a Dreamcatcher, an X, and the Mandalorian lady over my Betelgeusean shoulder in November 2020, plus this new necklace that Summer made me. And love and appreciation from y'all. So I think I'm doing good. I think we're doing good. And I think we'll make it through. But the next 2 months are going to be definitely super duper wild. More surprises. So please make America fun again. Please make America cool again. And unless plans radically change, I will probably be having a Texas Thanksgiving and a Texas Christmas. And so Texas has to work together and make sure that everybody in Texas has a good Christmas and Thanksgiving. So everybody, please get working on that now. But it does seem like a bit of hubris that I would even come on and talk for 3 hours. But the energy of the day has been pretty spectacular. And if I was going to go out, hang out, celebrate with anyone, it would be with you. I love you guys. Okay. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I should figure out what I'm going to do for the next 3 hours. And life is good. And it can definitely get better. And God bless America and everybody else. Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, Kick-Ass Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. We got like 44 days until the Jupiter-Saturn Grand Conjunction, and then it's like 3 days till Christmas Eve, and then 1 day until Christmas. And then I want to thank all the cool people out there. Again, I want to thank Astro Fight Club. I want to thank Saturday Night Live. As I tried to explain the other night, I'm pretty sure my parents, mom and dad, are really cool. So I've been watching it since it dawned, even if I was crawling around the floor. And that Saturday Night Live has been one of my favorite American main staples since I've been alive. So I definitely look forward to Dave fucking Chappelle and Foo fucking Fighters tonight. And last week we had the Strokes. The week before that we had Adele and the Strokes. Wait, what? And James Bond. Jack White. So the rock and roll Peace on Earth comedy advent calendar seems to be decent. And I'm still praying for an Eddie Murphy Christmas episode. I hope that becomes tradition for a while, where Eddie Murphy is the host before Christmas for at least the next couple of years. And then you can have whatever super guest stars. Hopefully that will be an epic calendar window we all open together. Better days are ahead. And Mars will be in Aries until January. And so it's definitely going to be tense and weird for the next year and a half, 2 years maybe. But we didn't come this far to fail. We are awesome and amazing and a super duper great team. And that even though we may have our bumpy moments, this transition will work. We're going into the future together. And Back to the Future movies were definitely good, great, awesome. And I love you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Talk to you guys soon. God bless everyone.